we have 10,000 Kenyans every year who require dialysis. About between 8,000 and 9,000 used to die every year out of just requirement of dialysis because of the queue that was there in Kenyatta and Moi. Today, my friend, we have 285 dialysis beds in Kenya from 25 in 3 years ago. And this we now have 280.
Fair enough.
Let me just
very briefly.
So that you can know the magnitude of the investment that we have done in our referral hospitals. Today in Kenya we have widespread, radiology machines across the country to treat cancer. You may want to know, Hussein, that cancer today kills more people than malaria, HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis combined. And that is why we have targeted as a government to spread issues of diagnosis, issues of early treatment of cancer, because it kills more Kenyans than any other disease.
Right, fair enough. And
we have now 94 stations around the country where Kenyans can go and access treatment and diagnosis from the 2 that existed in 2013.
Fair enough, but this is the irony. Even recently when you're in Western Kenya launching equipment, doctors were not in hospitals. Today, I'm asking you,
while we were there, all the dialysis beds, there were people being dialyzed, all of them.
All right.
Even when the doctors were not there, because Kenyans were still receiving treatment. I remember very clearly, we were in Busia, Busia Hospital, and an old mother was there and talking to us and says, "Thank you very much. I used to go to Kisumu. Now I can get dialysis here." We were in Moranga. A teacher was telling us, I had moved to Nairobi. Now I can get dialysis here and continue teaching in my school. So there is tremendous transformation going on there in the health sector.
That is fair enough to what you've done.
We have a challenge with the doctors.
How do you
challenge with the doctors is a 3-week-old challenge. We are working on it with the governors. In the meantime. Absolutely.
300% is what they asked for. Are you willing to do that? It's not actually what they asked for and was agreed in the CBA.
Does it sound reasonable to you, Hussein?
It's not really about me.
I'm just asking, we are all reasonable Kenyans. If somebody asks for 300%, does it sound...
Maybe if I was in government, I would know. But it's the government that accepted this. It's the government that accepted this.
It's not about government.
Government accepted this in the CBA.
It is not about government. You are a Kenyan. You pay taxes. Part of these people, the money they earn is your taxes. Would you really sit and say 300%? Well, does it sound reasonable to you?
It has. Whether it sounds reasonable to you, as a deputy president, you are in the government, you know better. But it's the same government that agreed to this. There have been salary increments for members of parliament. Whether that sounds reasonable or not to other people, I do not know. What you're saying and what you're telling me now is that 300% is outrageous and it will not be done. Is that what you're saying?
I haven't said it won't be done. I have said, does it sound reasonable to you? And I am sure it does not. It is not reasonable even to you.
So it is
right?
not.
So what is going to happen is a negotiation is going to go on, right? And some agreement will be arrived at. And we now have institutions, my friend. SRC is a constitutional institution that is supposed to manage wages of all public servants and make sure that everybody's job is evaluated so that you are paid the worth of what you deliver to Kenyans.
Okay, we'll leave it at that because we have a lot again to cover. And we're going to talk about some of the achievements you've made and some of the achievements that you did not make according to the manifesto. But first, a constant tonight, and everybody, when they are sending texts and tweets, and I'll read them, even those agreeing with Jubilee coalition, or the Jubilee government, saying, we know they have done ABCD. For example, who run Ruto onto something? This is Marx, and says, the problem in the administration is corruption. And there are so many texts like this, and people talk about corruption, and we've heard about corruption all through, and you've heard about it as well. You recently and President Kenyatta have been talking about corruption, but you've been on the campaign trail saying this is propaganda. First, are you saying there is no corruption?
We are saying there is corruption, which we are dealing with. But there is propaganda, a lot of it, my friend, and I want to tell you, like for example, when our friends, our competitors go to say, Eurobond money has been stolen. Really? I don't know, 200 billion.
Yes.
You know, that is the biggest lie ever told in Kenya since independence. That the government of Kenya colluded with the government of the United States to steal public money from Kenya. What kind of ridiculous nonsense that can be? Okay. So we are saying there is money lost like NYS. We have taken steps. We have taken people to court. But there is a lot of lies, you know, propaganda. Or, you know, the standard gauge railway is corrupt. The laptop project is corrupt. This equipment, what were we told, Hussein, about the managed equipment service on health? We were told we were supplying scissors and bandages. You go to hospitals today around the country. Okay. You go and sit with Kenyans who are being dialyzed. You go and sit with Kenyans who are being diagnosed with all the kind of equipment that we have supplied. They told us that this equipment we were doing in health was a rip-off. Okay. My friend, so what I am saying is, where we have found that there is public money stolen, we have taken steps. Okay, let's go. But we are also dealing with a whole torrent of propaganda from our competitors. And let me tell you the reason why. You know, Hussein, our competitors did not believe that Jubilee was going to deliver to the extent that we have delivered. They did not believe it. Okay. They thought that, oh, do you know this Jubilee, Uhuru and Ruto are going to disagree, there is going to be an usumukate nonsense in this thing. We refused to go that route. Okay. Then they realized that we were implementing our program. Let me tell you, when we said we are going to do the roads,
we'll come to that. We'll come to the roads and other
6,000 roads around the country today, my friend.
We'll come to that and all the achievements. But Your Excellency, we have to talk about this first. You are saying this is nonsense. In your words.
The issue about Eurobond money being stolen, my friend, is utter nonsense.
Who is supposed to decide whether it is nonsense or whether it's real? Is it you or is it the investigative agencies?
Let me tell you. You know, there are some things that are beyond even believability. You sincerely think, Hussein, the government of Kenya can collude with the government of the United States to steal public money from Kenya? Really?
Okay. I'll give an example. On this Eurobond, when this issue came up, and you talked about it, and we've talked about it before, the Cabinet Secretary Treasury, Cabinet Secretary Treasury, Henry Rotich, promised a blow-by-blow account on how this money was spent. He did an about turn. He never did it.
He asked the former Prime Minister to go to his office.
But he promised. He promised even journalists.
The former Prime Minister never went.
But he promised journalists he's going to do it, but he did not do it.
What questions have been asked to Henry Rotich and he has not answered?
That is one. That is one which he promised and he did an about turn.
What questions? To the best of my knowledge, even if you went and Googled, forget about even talking to Rotich, and Googled today on matters to do with Eurobond, you will find the explanation from the Minister, from Treasury, online. Forget about even looking for anybody.
Okay, but he did not. That's the point. He promised and he did not.
What do you mean he did not?
He did not. He said he'll give a
if he has given, I have a copy of what was posted on the website, answering every question.
Okay. Again, economists argue about this, and conventional economics will teach us that if you pump so much hard currency in an economy, government borrowing from banks will go down. That is definite. And these are the questions that have been asked. And as a result, banking lending rates will drastically go down. The affected economy will experience strengthening of the operating local currency. Why didn't our economy respond to this? And finally, on this matter of Eurobond. Recently, at the State House Summit, when Edward Onko, the Auditor General who is investigating this, when President Kenyatta almost rubbished what he was doing by seeking to go to New York to investigate this, isn't that interfering with investigations? Why won't you just let him finish his investigations? Because you're saying all these allegations, there's nonsense.
My friend.
Why can't he finish the the investigations without anybody interfering so that we know whether it's true or not?
Mr. Ugo is free. He has been to the U.S. not once on that matter, for your information. Right? He has been to the U.S. not once. And all the books are open on this matter of Eurobond. And let me tell you, Hussein, on national television, I can look Kenyans in the eye and tell them the allegations about the loss of Eurobond is nonsense. It is really, I mean, it is not possible that any government, you know, can collude with another government to steal money that was borrowed on behalf of the people.
But at any one time, in this government, any one time in this government or any other, would you advise anyone to interfere in investigation?
We don't interfere with any investigation. We don't interfere. Whatever you misconstrue the president to have said, you know, he didn't tell Mr. Ugo not to continue.
That's when he actually used that phrase, guy, if you remember.
Yeah, but
it's just absurd that he's going to investigate this in New York.
It is really absurd.
But it's his job.
I mean, really, surely, you know, this is nonsense. You know, you cannot, my friend, you know, and that is what I'm telling you. We have allegations of corruption. Where allegations of corruption have been made, the investigating authorities follow, right? And when they are found to be verifiable, action is taken. And let me tell you, that process is foolproof. The DPP's office does not report to us. The ESCC office does not report to us. The courts don't report to us. All we do is to facilitate those institutions to discharge their responsibility. And I can tell you for sure, no institution is complaining that we haven't facilitated them. Whether it is ESCC, whether it is DPP, whether it is our courts, we have facilitated them to the best of our ability to make sure that they discharge their responsibility.
You're saying there's some truth in some and some are utter nonsense, like you put it.
And that is why you're saying...
On this Eurobond, let us see what the Auditor General will come up with at the end of the day. We'll leave it at that. Let's talk about another issue, and that is the NYS. And I want to quote you, Honorable Deputy President, if we have that. This was in July 12, 2015. You said then that, and I quote, there are those who like to oppose everything. Leo yule jamaa na mangamanga huku na kule juu ya NYS. Tunataka kumwambia ache porojo, na akiwa na shida na Waiguru, let him come and face me and Uhuru. He is jealous of our NYS transformation agenda. End of quote. We'll look at what you said recently. This is 2 weeks ago, if we can play that.
Know that theft of public funds has happened as it did in the NYS presided over by Waiguru. We have said theft of public funds has occurred and we have taken action as government.
There's still another one you talked about. I think we'll play it. There she has it. Okay, we have it. Let's play it.
To take nonsense from anybody, we will not agree. We are going to be very firm. You know, the masterminds cannot be walking around doing catwalk on us when public money has been lost, giving us long lectures on influencing investigation, I don't know, this and that. No. Yeah, Bana.
Are you now agreeing with those claims that you were terming as rubbish then? Are you now agreeing that what they were saying is true?
My friend, I stand by what I said then and what I'm saying here. Why do I say that? The thing I defended is NYS, right? As was run that time. I will defend NYS even today. Yesterday, we had a pass out of 10,000 young men from the NYS. In fact, we are expanding that program to take up more young people because of the kind of transformation NYS is taking many Kenyan young people, right? But I said, if we discover that in the process of us implementing our program, a good program like NYS, we have people who have gotten in there and stolen public money, we have taken action. We haven't defended them. We haven't said they should stay in office. We haven't said they shouldn't be prosecuted. That is what we're saying.
But you said then, akiwa na shida na Waiguru, let him come and face me and Uhuru.
Correct.
But now, Recently,
continue with the program.
Yeah,
I said,
and he's jealous of the NYS transformation
absolutely.
agenda.
That is what I'm saying.
But then recently you actually said it happened, the theft.
Yes.
And earlier you said wakiwa na shida wa huje kwetu.
It happened when the theft was finally investigated and found. We didn't defend it. What we defended there is the program. And by the way, I am telling you, we still defend the program now. And if you had the president talk yesterday, we are expanding that program from 10,000 young people to 30,000 young people. Okay. Because it is a serious program. Okay. And it is helping the country to move forward.
So except when you say, aache porojo na akiwa na shida na Waiguru, aache porojo, porojo, uongo, na akiwa na shida na Waiguru, let him face me and the president. You're telling me you're not saying you are defending what was happening then?
I was defending, I was defending the program. And I will defend the program even today.
Right? You mentioned Waiguru.
Yeah. Waiguru was running the program that time. Okay. When it was discovered that she had something to do with the mess and the theft that took place, my friend, we are very clear.
Okay.
You know, we work with people.
Right.
And when it comes to our knowledge that they are not implementing the program which we have sent them to go and implement, we remove them, we take action, we prosecute them.
Right.
And that is what we have done with the NYS.
Okay, fine. And then
as we talk today, there are 20, 30 odd people who are paraded in court because of NYS.
So are you saying then, when you say this happened and presided over by Waiguru, talking about catwalk and all, are you saying she should be held responsible for this?
The institutions that are charged with that will deal with it. I am not an investigator.
So
she was in charge that time.
That remark.
What I was against was her trying to say, to insinuate that we were trying to influence investigations. And I said, that is the story that she was alluding. There are some forces in trying to influence investigation.
Right.
And I was saying, no. When it comes to public money, my friend, we have a clear line.
Okay.
If you are part of the people who are doing things against our program, we will have nothing to do with you.
Okay.
And we are not going to defend anybody.
Right. She said, Ben Geddy. She said Ben Geddy. The people who are connected to Ben Geddy. That's what she said. Your remarks again lately about this, coincidentally or otherwise, came after your personal assistant, personal aide Farouk Kibet, was mentioned. Does it bother you, first, that your personal assistant Farouk Kibet has been mentioned? Because some say you would either have said something against it, or silence may mean you're complicit in all this. Does it bother you first that he has been mentioned in this?
Of course it does. Why? And I'm ready. You know, if Farouk Kibet is found, or any other person in my office is found to have anything to do with NYS, the same way we exited Minister Waiguru, they will face the same law. They will face the same acts. Right? Once the process has reached whatever stage it has reached, it will be dealt with.
Right. So
and we are not defending anybody.
Right.
For your information.
Right. So you're saying by her connecting Ben Geddy and the people behind this, she was referring to you?
I didn't say she was referring to me. Right? She mentioned in a way as though there were people in high places which could only be either the president or myself that were influencing investigations. And that's why I said it must be very clear. It doesn't matter who you work with. It doesn't matter which office you work in. When it comes to public money, everybody must be held to account.
Okay. Do you know Ben Geddy?
I don't know Ben Geddy. I've never met him.
Right. Again, I'll leave that matter at that because the investigations are going on from what you have said. But one thing you've said that hit my brain a bit is she was asked, she was removed. She said she left because of health issues.
That is your guess as much as mine.
Was she removed? Was she asked because of this?
Did she have to leave because of this? She's not the only one who left. 6 ministers left, my friend. And you know the reasons why they left.
Okay. Again, still on matters of corruption. The same thing with the alleged Ministry of Health scandal. You talked about it vehemently.
Correct.
You've talked about it a lot. First, we know the auditor who did the audit, Bernard Mushere, said he did this out of the orders of the minister. It was an internal audit. Number one, when the government was saying nothing has happened, again back to the question I asked earlier, because investigations are going on, why can't you let investigations go on and determine what happened? Number two, what message does it send when Bernard Mushere is transferred? What message does it send when the principal secretary threatened a journalist about this, but he rightfully apologized, although he threatened a journalist about this? What message does it send? To defend it, or do you wait for the investigations to go to determine what really happened?
You see, we are dealing with a situation, Hussein, where we are dealing with allegations, most of them propagated for political reasons, right? And that is why sometimes we have to step in and stop the propaganda. When somebody stands and says Eurobond has been stolen, surely, do you want us to keep quiet and listen to that? Even on this matter of health, papers kept on writing, 5 billion shillings have been lost at the Ministry of Health. Even if you look at just the numbers alone, the audit was for a 3.2 billion shilling audit. Already the figures that were being bandied around is 5 billion, right? Clear distortion, obvious distortion for purpose. And even when that fellow was asked, this Bernard, how much money was lost, he says he doesn't know.
That's fine.
He says he doesn't know.
Right.
So why are we arriving at a conclusion? Money has been stolen, money has been lost at the Ministry of Health, when the fellow upon which these allegations are being made is saying, I don't know whether money has been stolen.
Okay, and why are we arriving at conclusions as government to say no money was stolen?
If the fellow who is supposedly the reason why people are saying money has been stolen says he doesn't know whether money has been stolen, then what business do you have saying money has been stolen? And you are quoting a guy who is telling you,
money,
I don't know whether any money has been stolen.
The person who's supposed to know are investigative agencies.
This is propaganda.
Right.
So for the time being, until we are certain that money has been stolen, let us not say money has been stolen. That's what we are saying.
Okay.
Because we are dealing, my friend, with a situation where our competitors have realized that they cannot beat us. We have a track record. As we talk today in Kenya, 5.5 million Kenyans are connected to electricity. 2.1 million Kenyans were connected in 2013. That is transformational. As we talk today, a standard gauge railway that we waited for 100 years is already getting to Nairobi in 1st of June. It is the lake to Malaba is already being built. As we talk today, I mean, the country is transforming. I told you, we are doing 6,000 kilometers of roads in 3 years. We have done 12,000 kilometers of road in 70 years. That is transformational. And when our competitors have realized that you cannot beat Jubilee on the basis of a track record, whether you talk of education, the transformation that we are carrying out in education, including even a simple thing like exam. I saw our competitors trying to complain, why did the results of the CPE come too early? Why even the exams really marked? You know, because they are not used to efficiency. The transformation that is going on in the education sector, the technical training colleges that we are building around the country, the infrastructure that we are laying around the country, the energy generation that we are laying, that we are expanding around the country, the whole health infrastructure that we have laid around the country. The fact that today, my friend, a guy who used to go for dialysis and pay 10,000 shillings per session twice a week, today they pay nothing. They pay zero. Because what we have done, we have brought NHIF and we have expanded the benefits of NHIF. Today, if you have an NHIF card,
you can access.
You will go for dialysis. You don't have to pay 40,000 shillings every 2 weeks. You can get dialysis free of charge.
Right.
That kind of track record,
is what
saying is why our competitors have decided the only way to fight Jubilee is to say They are corrupt.
Okay.
Let us take mud. You know, let's take mud and spew mud all over the place, because that is the only thing they can. They cannot beat our track record.
Right.
They thought the Jubilee was not going to hold together. Jubilee is now bringing together the whole country.
Right.
Even areas that originally did not have Jubilee following now have Jubilee following. So they have realized that they are going to lose these elections.
So if it's
and
about,
let me tell you, even all these shenanigans you see around the election, they don't want the voters register to be investigated, to be verified by KPMG, a professional body. They don't want that to happen. They don't want the law to be changed so that we have a backup system. It is because our competitors are not prepared for this election.
Okay.
They don't have a candidate. They don't have a manifesto. They don't have a program. They don't have what to sell to Kenyans. We have a solid record. Okay. They know that this election is determined. Right. And that is why they are scraping around to look for mud to throw at Jubilee so that at least
we'll come to that. You call it mud. I mean, we'll come to all those things you're saying, and fair enough to what the government has been able to achieve, including roads, which I also have data that shows government has really built, has constructed a lot of roads, more than it was anticipated.
Yes.
But back to this issue of corruption. We already have a case in point like NYS, when it was rubbished as propaganda. Initially, it is nothing but propaganda. Ultimately, you all came to find out there's something. Fine, you say it's still propaganda what's happening. But with all these other issues that I've said, like the PS threatening a journalist, and again, I'll have to say he apologized, Mushere being transferred, the mobile clinics being quoted elsewhere at between 1 to 3 million and were being bought at 10 million shillings. All these things, the way you say the opposition is trying to smear the government with mud, who is supposed to tell the truth? Because there's already a case in point here where you said the opposition was throwing mud on NYS, but it came to happen and you have agreed now.
For your information.
Why can't you let, my question is, Honorable Ruto, why can't you let the investigative agencies do their job? We also know, my friend Hussein, that our friends in the opposition have the capacity to lie big time, like what they did with the Eurobond. And we are not going to predicate the business of Kenya on what they say, because they have realized that they need to lie big time to get anywhere on some of the items they are saying. And for your information, we have said as Jubilee, when we discover, and you've just given us one example, they told us the railway had a problem. They even went to court. The railway has been cleared. There is no issue. They told us the laptop project had a problem. There is nothing wrong with the laptop project. It had a problem initially. It had a problem. It had a problem. It had a problem. We went through the mill and made sure that the whole program is rolling, right? But not as it was promised. Within the first 100 days, it didn't happen because of corruption issues. It is not corruption issues, because of procurement issues. Of course, but procurement. There is a difference. Either of the companies involved were alleging corruption, and that is why they went to court. There is a difference between procurement. People go to court not because of corruption. They go to court because this company thought we should have won the tender. The other company thought they should have won the tender. So they allege something here happened that is not out of the ordinary. And all this goes on all the time on many contracts, my friend. Right. It had nothing to do with corruption. It had everything to do with procurement. You know. Because we realized that was a tedious process, we had to change the procurement and work with our universities so that we can hasten the procurement and make sure that we eliminated some of the gaps that would arise. They told us that there was a problem with MES. They told us, oh, these people, this is a corrupt deal. They are going to buy, I don't know, trays and what. The MES is a solid program, investigated by all the agencies and given a clean bill of health. It is just on NYS. So are you going to tell me they told us about the railway, they told us about the MES program, they told us about the laptop, all that have been cleared? You want to tell me merely because of NYS we are going to believe everything they say? I'm not saying you believe everything they say. I beg to differ. Fair enough. I'm not saying you believe everything they say, Honorable Deputy President. Yeah. But I'm saying it is the work of the investigative agencies. Absolutely. NYS is being investigated. Auditor General is investigating Eurobond. Absolutely. Afia House is being investigated. we also have youth fund being investigated, all these other issues being investigated. The same way you say they're smearing you, the same way it should be left to investigative agencies, isn't it? To decide and tell Kenyans the truth, isn't it?
But you see, my friend, we have no problem with investigations.
All right.
I wish our friends, instead of making politics out of all these things, they would wait for the investigations. As long as they are talking, and they are talking conclusively, as though the money has been lost. Like, for example, Kenyans were made to believe that 5 billion shillings was lost at the Ministry of Health, which is a lie. You know as much as I do.
Okay, I'll ask you one more question on corruption, because we are out of time, really, and then we can talk about some of the other achievements of government. It's only fair to do that. The president recently, when he talked about corruption, and he almost seemed to be helpless when he said, what do you really want me to do? Do you really have confidence in these institutions and agencies that are fighting corruption?
You know, it doesn't matter how much we don't like the Constitution. It doesn't matter how much we don't like any institution. The Constitution has a mechanism of making things work. You know, there could be problems, there could be challenges with the people running certain institutions. We are now going around to get a new crop of commissioners for EACC, for example, right? Hopefully, they will bring in new ideas on how to tackle matters to do with craft, right? There are other institutions. We now have a new Chief Justice, you know, that hopefully will take up things more robustly and not laid back as we've seen before. So that we can all contribute, you know, towards fighting corruption and making sure that public funds is not wasted, is not stolen, is not pilfered by characters.
Okay.
We are very clear about what needs to be done. And the Jubilee administration has a clear track record on matters to do with fighting corruption. No other government, Hussein, has done what Jubilee government has done. No other government. No other government has spent the kind of money we have spent in these institutions.
If you cannot touch
billions of shillings in these institutions, we've made sure that our own officers working with us have exited the system on account of matters to do with corruption, and we are very clear.
If you cannot touch, finally, if you cannot touch all these institutions because of the Constitution, rightfully you say that. We saw at some point this year former EACC commissioners being prevailed upon to leave. They actually said they were being prevailed upon by the government. That is Jane Onsongo, Irene Keino, and later Mumu Matemu also left. The question is, if you're seeing there's such a problem, why can't you do the same?
You know, when somebody tells you they were prevailed upon to leave, you know, that's a very subjective thing. It's not something that you can bring to any forum, you know, and say this is what actually happened, unless somebody wrote a letter to them and told them to leave.
Somehow they still left, even after saying that they left. They left. So the question is, why didn't the government do anything? If you're saying maybe what they're saying does not make sense, why did the government do anything when these are commissioners of an Ethics and Corruption Commission are saying they're being prevailed upon to leave?
If somebody puts pressure on you unfairly, unconstitutionally, illegally, I mean, you don't go and report to the president. You take the fellow to court.
But the president should take heed of that and know that somebody is trying to interfere with something here.
The president should, the fellow should go to court, right? And what have we done? You know, my friend, forget about subjective things. Have we done the core things? The EACC asked us for resources to hire 100 additional investigators. We gave them the money. The DPP's office asked us to give them resources to hire additional personnel. We gave them the money. The EACC have asked us to give them additional capacity. We've given them the money. They wanted the cooperation, the working together of all the agencies. A multi-agency committee setup was done between all the agencies that fight corruption. I mean, we have, and that's what the president was saying, whatever is required of us, we have done it, right? But you see,